you believe in sin? When I say believe, I don't mean believe in committing sin. Do you believe there is such a thing as sin?
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born. That, to me, is the greatest sin that people can commit.
Aided by advancements in genetics and in 3D and 4D ultrasound, the science of fetology has clearly shown that the unborn baby is a human being. By the time a woman typically knows that she is pregnant, the unborn baby already has a heartbeat and brain activity. Claims by some pro-choicers that the unborn baby is nothing more than a parasite and a blob of cells are easily and readily dismissed, even by other pro-choicers who have had some education in the basic biological sciences. The answer to this question lies not in the biological sciences, but is rooted in a philosophy that was first organized and explained in a small book in 1920 by Alfred Hoche and Judge Karl Binding. The name of this book was Die Freigabe der Vernichtung Lebens unworthen Leben, which is translated as The Permission to Destroy Life Unworthy of Life, which recommended the active euthanasia of what is called absolutely worthless human beings, including what it called the retarded, the deformed, and the feeble-minded and senile. The book referred to eugenic murder as a healing work and an allowable, useful act. Frederick Wortham, author of A Sign for Cain, wrote that this little book influenced, or at least crystallized, the thinking of a whole generation. Karl Binding split the group of people which he wanted to be considered for killing into 3 groups. Group 1, a person who has been mortally wounded or is terminally ill and has somehow communicated their wish to die. The person does not have to be in pain, it is enough that they are in a helpless condition and that their condition is incurable. Group 2, a person that is incurably mentally ill. Binding describes these people as having neither the will to die, nor the will to live. He describes them as living pointless lives and are a burden for society and their families. He also believed it to be unfair on caretakers to keep such lives unworthy of living alive. Group 3, the people belonging to this group were mentally healthy people, which having suffered a serious injury are now unconscious. If they ever wake, they will wake to a nameless suffering. Karl Binding wanted a committee to decide on the killing on a case-by-case basis. The committee was to consist of a doctor, a psychiatrist or other doctor and a jurist to check that the committee was acting within the law. Binding also wanted to allow for killings that were not controlled by a committee. Such a killing would only be legal if the person killing had either acted with permission, or on the assumption that an unconscious person wanted to die. Binding argued that although there is always a possibility of mistakes being made, he saw the risk of losing a life as unimportant because humanity constantly loses so many lives by mistake, that just one more would hardly make a difference.
Wir wollen nicht lieben und wollen nicht spenden. Ich habe
This ideology of life unworthy of life was used by the Nazis to designate segments of a populace that had lives that were not worth living and hence, were to be exterminated as an act of mercy. This included the physically or mentally disabled, the weak and the feeble, those with deformities, those who were burdens on society and others, those who were useless with no apparent function in society, those with inferior genetics when compared to the ideal. Included in this group were homosexuals, intermarriage partners, and criminals. The ideology of life unworthy of life justified human experimentation on prisoners in addition to the development of Nazi eugenics programs and Nazi racial policies. Consistent with the Nazi ideology of life unworthy of life was the Nazi implementation of abortion into German society. In 1933, when the Nazis came to power, the law was changed to legalize abortion and make this a matter of decision for a medical review board. The development of Germany's abortion policy was left to the country's most vociferous abortion advocacy group, the Berlin Chamber of Physicians. This group, which advocated abortion on demand, determined that the health of the mother, considered from all angles, is the decisive factor. Then, just as now, health of the mother criterion was loosely understood to mean any economic or psychological effect on the woman's total well-being. There were approximately 500,000 abortions annually in Germany under the Third Reich, a country of 60 to 70 million people. And, in Nazi Germany, racial stock was considered an aspect of the health of the mother. If she was from an unhealthy race, such as Polish, Czech or Jewish, then she was often forced to have an abortion against her will. However, race was not the only consideration. Hitler actively promoted the destruction of the crippled, poor and unemployed classes. Abortion led to forced sterilization, followed by the killing of impaired children in hospitals. And then the killing of impaired adults, mostly collected from mental hospitals. This project was extended to impaired inmates of concentration and extermination camps and, finally, to mass killings in the extermination camps themselves. Today, America and other nations have adopted this element of Nazi ideology into their society through the heinous practice of the abortion of unborn babies whose lives are deemed to be not worth living. During World War II, very many brave men and women died for their country in order to help free occupied Europe. They also died fighting against a powerful heinous ideology, an ideology that still survives and thrives today. Even though those who perpetrated this ideology through the ruthless Third Reich essentially no longer survive. In doing so, we have allowed an element of Nazi ideology to conquer a segment of our nation.
My name is Chris Burke, and I work at the National Down Society, and I am the Goodwill Ambassador, and I go around doing my public speaking and try to promote awareness of people with Down syndrome, and which is really important because October is the Down syndrome awareness month, which is very important to us because they try to spread awareness of people like us with Down syndrome, because it's not about our disability awareness, it's about our ability awareness that we're trying to come across. I'm hoping to see other people with Down syndrome just to do everything what they really wanted to do. It's about their passion, it's about what they're really good at. I want them to have the same abilities, like if I can do it, so can they. Because public speaking is very important too, because of there are other people who are truly inspirations, who that we can look up to with a lot of admiration, which is really important things in life, And I have a very important motto, which I have as a picture frame, in my room, here in New York City. It says, "Obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal. Never let your eyes off the goals and make your dreams come true," which is very important. Is to always believe in yourselves, work hard, and to never give up. In the future, I'm still working for the NDSS, for the National Down Syndrome Society. I still want to stay involved with show business because that's my passion and that's what I'm really good at. And I'm very proud of that experience. And it gives me a chance to do other things besides acting. Who knows what's going to happen. Thank you, Riku Cinemas, for giving us the opportunities to do something like this, and it gives us a chance to be out there, in the theaters that needs to be shown people with disabilities and to think about our abilities.